Hello everyone! I have finally got my hands on Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford, and finally, look at all of these beautiful fronts. I'll have a little sort of flip through for you guys, and then we're going to do some colouring. And I'm loving all this little gold foil at the front. So we have that inner sort of text page as well. It's got that little circle. I'm kind of getting almost got Rita Berman associations to this, just with, I'm sorry for that little fly, just with sort of Johanna's style. There's some cute little things. We've got little like ocean stuff here on the side, just up the top here as well. And we've got some little houses and pumpkins, and it's just all really cute little plants, foresty themes, and it's really nice. Got a little moth there. Oh, we know Johanna loves her moths. Then we have the little name page. So we have some other little moths on the side here, and we've got a little name plaque on the right hand side, and we've got a little, I think it must be like a little Scottish castle or something there, and it's really cute. So next here we got the introduction page and Johanna's top tips for colouring. I really like this little frame that she's got here. It's really pretty. It's got some little creatures, got the mushrooms, little, are they little hummingbirds or something like that? And some flowers and sort of intricate little vines and things. I do apologise if you can hear that little bird in the background. There's just got some windows open, and we got a little baby bird peeping about outside, and it's really cute. So we got our 12 little minis. We've got some pumpkins. We've got some little worlds within worlds. There's lots of cute things to get your pencils in on. I'm just trying to get this book lined up a little bit better for you guys, so I'm just sort of trying to aim it a little bit. There's a little frog there on the stack of books. That would actually be a good one. My book tutorial, which is one of my very earliest videos, would work in perfectly with that one. I'm not going to talk too much about that other page because that's going to be our first one. So here we have a little turtle, a little tortoise. I feel like I've seen this before. Is this Small Victories that has got like a tortoise or something with something on its back? I'm not sure. We've got a little sloth here with lots of beautiful sort of jungle plants around it. We've got some little frogs and snails, little 6 little minis there. And as usual, the paper is lovely and thick. I do love the Johanna Basford paper. We've got here some little flowers. I like the size of these actually. They're small, but they're not so tiny that they're hard to colour. So there's 6 little sort of motifs here, and you can get a bit of detail into those. They're just big enough for that. And here we've got the little Scottish motif, the little Nessie with her trasher down the bottom, and a little Scottish loch and with the castle. This is a really cute dragon. I like this one. It's got little flowers on there, got some cool wings, some scales, and it's a good size. I like that one. And then we have a little island there with a castle. We got a little tunnel, sort of a cave coming in underneath. A big something at the back. That could be a big sun or a big moon maybe. And there we go. We got some underwater themes here. There's some, I think the frames are the same on both sides. So you could do like, even do like opposite themes, like you could have the frame one color and then the inner thing something else. And then we've got a really pretty moth. I like this one. It's got those sort of long things down there. I can't remember, there is a particular moth that has those long their wings sort of goes far down. I can't remember what they're called though. Then we've got that little floating flower island with a little lamp and a little house. And oh, this is bringing back my memories. This is like, my husband had a quilt cover when he was little that was just like this, and we still have that quilt cover. Sometimes my kids use it, and it's like that dark blue with the yellow, really sort of bright yellow, golden yellow moons and suns and things, and this all little knickknacks, various little magical objects. I really sort of feel like you've got the little bugs, we've got some keys, some mushrooms, some little potions and gems. It's a cute little page, but it would probably take a while to colour. Then we have, I think that reminds me of a little hummingbird, I think, with that long beak. So could that be, it almost looks a bit like a passion flower almost, that flower there. It's a really cute little picture. And here's another one with the little minis, another 12 motifs here. We've got a little, I call it the SpongeBob house, a little percolator house, lots of little different houses in various objects. Oh my goodness, these little baby dragons, I'm going to call them, because they have got this little sort of childish look to them. And this little one up the top there that spilled a bit of potion, a little dragon there who's getting distracted by a little butterfly. These are so cute. Oh my goodness, they are adorable. Look at the faces, little flower crown. This is adorable. Now this one I have seen a few versions of already. This is like the Sweets Wonderland with all of these like lollipops. It's got that marshmallowy. I know we've had that here, the little twisted marshmallow in the different sort of pastel colours. So you could go crazy with colour on this page, that's for sure. And a little bowl with some succulents and a little goldfish or something living inside. That is really cute. You can go like with those plants there, you could go like full on like the exact colours, because succulents got some really cool colours. And then we've got some sort of smaller versions of some plant pots with a little world growing inside. Here's another one of those circles that give me Rita Berman vibes, just because she does those, especially for her travelling books. But of course it's still in the Johanna's style, so they're not as whimsical, I feel. They're still whimsical, but not those sort of, yeah, you know what I mean if you've got both books. So we've got this little vines here, we've got the little crowns, little house. Then we have a crab who's holding on to some sort of little bubble with some fish and shells and things. And then this looks like one of those scarabs to me, the beetles that they often used to put on like the Egyptian like mummies and things like that. They often use scarabs for that. So you could go with some gold colours and things for that. I think will look really cool. Lots of little castles of various sizes and styles. And then we have those floating islands, which was the free upload or download that Johanna gave us beforehand. Then we have a cute little owl, and I have seen a really cute version of this one. Someone to colour it, I cannot remember who it was, but they did an absolutely awesome job. This is not my style, I have to say. I don't do the small stuff. Another little sort of circle with lots of like the lollies and sweets, donuts. Same on the other side here. It's very sort of food scented. And 9 little mini pictures. Then we have lots of potions. It's very magical, this thing. It must be all the potions that's made in this big cauldron on the other side here. This page reminds me, that thing there, is that the owl post that had that exact same outline? I think it may have been just this one has got more of like, you got the cauldron and stuff. And here we've got a moth pulling up a house. Then we have like a mandala. We've got some frogs in there, some lily pads, little water lilies and things, some cute little vines around. Here we got some, are they like, I don't know, they look a bit like sort of almost like lily, just based on the leaves down the bottom, almost looks like little lily, water lily plants and stuff. And I'm almost getting those, you know, those crystal houses from the like botanic gardens and stuff feel of the top. Then we have another sort of split down the middle, same on both sides, with the moths and another beetle up the top there. We've got some little snails with some little worlds inside, flowers, fish bowls, whatever you feel like you can stick inside a snail shell. There's a little goldfish there. We've got a little tree, some mushrooms. And then I saw so many people go and start on this big pumpkin for Halloween. But I went away, so I'm so far behind. But here we go. We've got a couple of little dragons. This one here looks like it's like holding onto like one of those Fabergé eggs. Those crazy expensive. So you could go crazy with the bling on this one, I reckon. This again, it kind of reminds me, gives me a feel of, she did this, wasn't it a swan she did a few years ago? I can't remember if it even had anything on this back, but I'm getting those sort of associations there. We've got a pretty little flower motif with a little house on top and some hanging flowers underneath. It's very pretty. We've got some tree houses. Some of these pictures I do feel are similar to like your Rooms of Wonder books, maybe a little bit from like Wells of Wonder as well. I'm getting sort of those associations here. This, we got a little like a countryside, we got a little lake there, some bits and pieces. This, I don't think I'm a fan of this picture. I feel like it looks like it's meant to be wider and then it was just cut off. It could have easily gone all the way to the edges and just left off that little, I don't know. We could have pulled it down, we could have gone it out, and then we could have taken away that little square at the back there and it would have fit the page. And it just, I don't know, it looks out of place. So what have we got here? We've got another little tree house of some sort, with a crazy house on top. It's a massive house. So we've got a lot of little knickknacks you can colour in there. Now this bird, it reminds me of that one in the Christmas book, Johanna's Christmas, they're carrying the little presents. And probably because I've already started that one and I've never actually posted it. I'm only about halfway on it. Maybe I'll post it this year. We'll see. A little gem study page here. I'm not hugely good with gems and I'd love to actually get better with them. So maybe that will be a thing that I can practice a bit on that page there. This is so cute. I love that little fox. It is absolutely adorable, and the little flowers around it. And we got, that's a kingfisher, I think. I wonder if that's probably why it's got the little crown on top. It's sitting on its big jewel. So you can definitely go with your blues and those sort of, I don't know, like golden tones, the blue and gold, with this one to kind of go with the bird. And here we got, I think this is a toucan sitting on like a vase with a little thing in his mouth. Some little various pictures. I was going to say sea pictures, but it doesn't actually, it's only a few things that's got to do with the sea. There's like all kinds of things here. I don't really see a theme as such. And then we have a lot of fancy tropical birds with lots of, looks like they could be like lots of rainbows and things with the clouds. You could go crazy there. This is a cute one. I like the size of this actually. It goes like sort of right out to the sides and It doesn't feel like it's been cut off compared to that other one. Again here, some more of these sort of pictures. So they all kind of have a lot of white space. So either you're going to love that or you're going to hate that. It just depends on what kind of colorist you are. We've got a bit of a space theme here. We've got a boat with balloons pulling it up. We got some little Pegasus horses with little flowers on there. Reminds me of that pony. And here we got, this is a cute one. And again, I like the size of that. It goes fairly far out to the sides. Perfect. It's got a good, like the flowers are a good size. The house is a good size. I like that one. Ooh, I like the frame on this one. Little, almost look like you're looking out of like a fancy submarine window, if that makes sense. Looking out into like a floating castle. And then we got the whale over some sort of underwater, maybe like a mermaid city. There we have some more space stuff. Johanna doesn't do a lot of space things, so we've actually gotten a few different little things. There's some funky looking planets around here you could go pretty crazy with. Have a bit of fun, do some different things for each of them. Again here, space theme, great, awesome. You can, a little cute alien there. You could do some galaxy backgrounds and things. We got some flowers here. Again, I like the size. They're not crazy small. The ones that you've seen me do in Worlds of Flowers are quite tiny. These ones are a little bit better, I think. I like this little forest picture here. I like the mushrooms. They always make for good colouring. Some more hares here, or bunnies, depending on what you think. You could do some like golden, like almost like filigree things on those little things. We got the bottles with some houses inside. They're cute again. Again, I like the size of those. They're not too small. They fill the page enough that it's not so much white space. And we got another sea monster. Maybe another Nessie of some sort with a little castle at the back, maybe in a Scottish loch. And we have some, are they butterflies? No, are they butterflies or are they moths? I think they're butterflies. I'm not sure, but you can make them whatever you want. They're very pretty anyway. And that's the end of that one. So let's get started with some colouring. So I'm going to do, this is the first actual sort of big picture. So I'm going to be using my Faber-Castell Polychromos today, and I'm also going to be using a bit of Odourless Mineral Spirits. I'm thinking at least for the trees, I want to save myself a bit of time because they are fairly decent sizes, those trees. So I just want to ensure that we don't get stuck with like a million layers, and I think this video is going to get be long enough if I weren't going to do like 10-20 layers on each of these trees. So I'm going to just try to use a bit of that blending with the mineral spirits and try to save a little bit of time. So I'm just starting out with the earth green, and I'm just going to cover the whole sort of tree canopy on both trees. So I did film doing both the trees, but I ended up having over 4 hours of footage, and that is just way too much. So what I'll do is I'm going to edit out so that we have I'm showing you one tree, and just each step, just do it exactly the same on both sides, because the trees are practically identical, so it's fairly easy to do. Just letting you know now, I'm kind of having the light coming from the center of the picture, like behind the, I'm thinking from like behind the castle, and then sort of going out. So when you are putting down your shadings on each tree will be on opposite sides. So when I'm doing this left tree and I'm doing shadows on the left hand side, when you're going on the right tree, you're going to have your shadows on your right hand side. So I just thought I'll let you know that now, and then you won't get confused when you see it afterwards. I'm going to go in now with my juniper green, and I'm going to start slowly building up some darker areas and just sort of play around a little bit with some shadows. So just do exactly what I'm doing now on the other side. So you'll see that I'm adding shadows just sort of underneath. You see those little lines where the branches are going into the canopy. So you want to add some shadows under there and just sort of do the same on both sides. It will be, and sort of maybe even around, I'm thinking of going around those individual leaves that are colored in as well. I'll probably go a little bit darker behind those, and then we'll leave those individual leaves just light. So I'm going to change over now to the chrome oxide green, and I'm doing exactly the same, just working on adding some shading in and getting some sort of depth and dimension to the picture. Now I just thought I'd quickly show you what I'm doing on the back of this bird, just because obviously it's a little bit different than the other page. So I'm just sort of working around here. I'm going to go in behind the bird and just sort of add a little bit of darkness there. I want a little bit more shadows to make that bird pop out a little bit. And I've decided that I'm going to make these two birds herons. So they're going to be a lot of greys and with a black little thing on the top of the head. I thought that's what made it look like herons to me. And we'll probably add in a little bit of extra colours as well. So I'm just going to go back now to the first tree, and I'm just going to get out my earth green yellowish. This is the one that I have that doesn't have the name on the anymore. I've used it so much so I've just rubbed it off. So because I've got the earth green underneath, it's not as yellow as it would have been if I went straight in with this. And that's kind of what I wanted. I didn't want it super yellow, I kind of wanted a little bit more blue in there. But I'm going to use these for those little individual leaves as well. So just go ahead and add those just to both of your trees as well. So it's kind of just going, I'm not going over everything in the tree, I'm kind of sticking to these sort of lighter areas here. That's going to be like my highlighted areas. If you followed me for a while, you know that I love using dark blues like the dark indigo for my shadows. When I'm working in green tones, I find that just extra bit of blue and that darkness of it works really well for shadows. And then obviously you can go in with black later on if you feel like you need it, but you don't always have to go in with black straight away. So it just depends on sort of what sort of contrasts you're after, but this is a good one to use to start with, and then you see if you need to build up any more. So just again, just do this on both of the trees, and just I'm mainly going to stick to, I'm thinking sort of underneath sort of where these branches are. I might also add some in just directly underneath those individual leaves that are there as well. Now I'm going to go in now, before I add any more colour, I'm going to go over with my Odourless Mineral Spirit. I'm using this one here from Art Spectrum. You can use whichever one you have on hand. These are the two tools that I tend to use when I use Odourless Mineral Spirits. I think I'll probably just stick with the paintbrush for the top here, just because I'm just going to go over absolutely everything. If your paintbrush is a bit big and you can't get into those little sort of nooks and crannies where the branches are, you might be better off using a paper stump. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and use the paintbrush. So what I do is I will add a little bit of the solvent just into this little container, and it does have a lid as well. That way I don't have to dip directly into the bottle. I also go ahead and use a paper towel, and I'm going to use that to sort of dab away any excess of the spirits, because I don't want it going through the paper. I just want it just rubbing the top sort of layers of the colouring pencil and blending that together. Now I'm just going to go over this one more time, just with the same kind of amount of liquid. I'm not having it overly wet. As you can see, it's a pretty dry paintbrush that I'm using, and I'm kind of just using it to rub around and just get it smushed together a little bit. So you can see now I've let it dry for a little while. I usually make sure that I let it dry for a good half an hour, and now I'm going to go over and do everything one more time. So going in with the dark indigo again now, I'm going to work in behind the leaves a lot, and I'm also going to add some shadows underneath the heron. Make sure that when you are on the opposite tree that you add the shadows in behind the heron on that side as well, because obviously you won't see that on this side. So just remember not to forget about the little bird. So I'm going to add in a little bit more of the earth green yellowish. That's again the one that doesn't have a name on it. So you'll recognize that one compared to the May green, because that one still does have the color name written on it. So just going around, mainly sort of around the edges here now, and those sort of highlighted areas again. I don't want it on those shadowy areas. I want to keep those sort of fairly blue, and yeah, just remember again, just do the same on both sides. So I'm going to go back in now with another layer of the Odourless Mineral Spirit, and I'm just doing exactly the same. I've sort of half wet my paintbrush, I've dabbed it off, and I'm kind of just going over the top, and all this is doing is literally just sort of acting as a solvent and just getting those pigments like loosened up a little bit, and it helps sort of smush it into the paper. So it pretty much gets rid of those little white spots with the little grooves in the paper as well. And that way it goes a little bit quicker. You can kind of get your coverage a little bit sooner. Alright, it is heron time. I'll do this now while the Odourless Mineral Spirit is drying. I'm not 100% sure yet whether or not I want to add any more green onto the canopy of these trees, but I figured I will just get started on these birds and then my brain has a chance to process what I need to do next. So I'm just starting out with this warm grey 3. I'm just sort of working my way down, and I'm sort of I'm going a little bit lighter down sort of on the tummy and down sort of on the bum there. I'm not quite going in overly dark. I've had a bit of a look at a couple of reference photos, and I did notice that they're a little bit lighter sort of underneath, so I'm just going to try to sort of leave those areas a little bit lighter. And I'm just building my way up now in my colours, going on to the warm grey 4, and I'm just sort of going to work my way up as I usually do, adding more and more shadows, getting darker and darker as I go. So I'm just going to darken this up a little bit now with the dark sepia, and I'm also thinking of possibly bringing in some of the cinnamon as well, just for like an undertone, because we have all this grey down already. It's not going to be overbearing, I think, because it's not going to look like those sort of pinky kind of colours, but I think it's going to look pretty cool, so I'm going to give that a go. I'm also thinking of kind of making this picture in my, I don't know, can you call it signature colours, using mainly like the greens, but with the, I kind of call it the earth palette down on the bottom tray of the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. I do love those colours. They're those sort of beautifully soft muted colours, so I think maybe we will do the rest of the picture using those sort of colours. So let's see what it ends up turning out to be. Now, looking at the pictures of herons, I did notice they have a pretty orange beak, so I'm just going to go in with the terracotta here and just use that. It does stand out compared to the rest of their bodies, so I didn't really mind doing that. And I think we might go in with the black now. I want to do that top of the head. I might extend it out a little bit as well, I think, and sort of keep going out a little bit further up, make it a bit a little bit higher, and then I'll bring it down. So I'm just going to use a white wax-based pencil. This is just a Prismacolor. You can use whatever else you had on hand. And just sort of blend this sort of lighter area a little bit out. Just sort of smushing together some of that grey and then just sort of layering it down as well. For these little vines that are hanging down here, I want to go in with more like the olive tones, so I'm thinking of doing this one here with the, I think it's the green gold, I think, for the highlighted areas. For the tree trunks, I'm going to do exactly the same as I did for the canopy, and I'll show you the left hand side one, and then you can do each step on the right hand side as well. Just put the shadows on the opposite side to what I'm doing on this one. Now, one of the things I like to do when I colour in trees is add a little bit of green to sort of the bark. I kind of feel that a lot of old trees have got a bit of moss and things on them, so I kind of like to go, especially sort of on the lighter areas, I'll usually add a little bit of green in there just to give that sort of mossy old feeling. So I'm just going to go ahead now and start building up my shadows. So on this left hand tree, I want my shadows on the left hand side, anywhere that's away from the castle. So when you're going ahead and doing this on the right hand side, you're going to have your shadows on the right. So I'm changing over to my burnt umber now, and I'm just going to keep on darkening up everything, making sure that I add in sort of the areas around the vines and those sort of places where there's any kind of overlap. I want those to be nice and dark. So I'm going to go ahead now and go in with my black and really start building up some more shadows And I think I'll probably go ahead and use my Odourless Mineral Spirit again on this and sort of blend it all out, and then we'll see whether we need to add some more afterwards. But right now I'm just going to focus on getting this black sort of where I have any overlaps and the side of the tree trunk that I want to have the darkest. Now, just because I got distracted before and I completely forgot to do these little leaves here on the vines, I'm just going to go ahead and do those now. Just pretty much using exactly the same colors as I did on the vines. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I use the paper stump for my Odourless Mineral Spirit. So as I said, I just have a little bit in here. Just put the tip in, and now I'm just going to go ahead and use it exactly as I would a pencil, really. Sorry, that was a little bit out. I started up the top there and I didn't realize I hadn't completely zoomed out. But I'm just sort of going around a bit like I would do with a pencil, and just sort of making sure that it's kind of blending together and getting rid of any kind of little white spots. And just as you can see, like, it's brightening up the colors a little bit as well for us. And then you can decide whether you want to add an extra layer, go back and literally do the coloring process again, or you can leave it the way it is. Now, I did end up going back in with a little bit more black and just darken up the shadows a little bit, but I completely forgot to turn the camera on. Apologies for that, but just go over and just go in with your black and browns if you want to add a bit more, and just add that. I'm just going to get started on these little plants on the side. I'll start up the top there with those sort of long, almost like spear kind of plants. And I want to go in with terracotta as my main color, and then we will go in and create some shadows and things with those. And I've definitely decided that I want to go ahead and use those earthy tones in the bottom tray of the 120 set of Polychromos. I love those colors and I used to use them all the time, and I think I really want to get back to those because they are absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to change over now to the sanguine and just start darkening things up before I start adding like really dark shadows here. I want to make that little sort of side that's away from the castle a little bit darker and have the little side that faces this toward the castle a little bit lighter. I'm just going to go in with this Dark Naples Ochre just for those lightest areas here, and I just add those over the top, and then we're going to go ahead and darken things up even more. So I'm going to go in with my burnt sienna just for my darker color here. I like those when I work with these sort of terracotta, yellowy kind of tones, and I just kind of find that it gives that sort of golden kind of feel to it. If we need it later on, I can always add in a bit of black if we need it, but we might not. So we'll have a look once I've added in a few more of the plants here. We'll see if we need anything extra. So I'm going to get started with the plant directly underneath. This is again the earth green yellowish, and that will be my base color for this. And I want to give it this bit of like a fan effect. It's got that little dotted line down the center, and I kind of want to use that as a bit of a fold. So I think that could make it pretty cool and give it a little bit of extra dimension. Now this is my beige red. It does have a little bit of an issue showing up on camera, but I love adding this in with my greens, especially if I do like lighter greens, and it's beautiful to add in these sort of highlighted areas, and it gives a really cool effect. So again, I'm going to go in with my dark indigo for my darker parts here and start building up some shadows, and I'll probably end up going in with some black just to give a really good contrast, but I want to save that for the very sort of darkest areas. So this works out really well and give that sort of cooler shadowy tone that I want as a contrast to the slightly warmer side where we had our beige red and terracotta. So let's go for some muted reds for these little leaves down the bottom here. I'm going to start with the Venetian red, and then I might go in, I'm just trying to think what we should go with next. I'm tossing up between going with the India red or maybe some of the more with the purple undertones, maybe like the red violet as well. We might be able to go with that. Let's have a look. No, I think I'll go slightly less dark first here. I'm going to go in with the burnt carmine, I think, and then we'll just use a little bit of black just for the edges. So I'm just going to go in mainly sort of on the left hand side, remembering that I'm putting my shadows the furthest away from the castle. So just adding this on this side and leaving a little bit of a highlight on the right hand side. So I've just quickly decided that I'm going to go in with this dark Naples ochre just on the tips of these little leaves here. So just do these on all of them, on both the trees, and then we're going to go back to colouring down the bottom here. So we're going to get started on this beautiful little flower down in the corner. I'm going to go in with beige red as my base color. It is super light and it's hard to really see it properly, but I'm pretty much covering the petals, leaving just a tiny little bit of white just at the base of the petal, just where it sort of attaches to the flower. And I'm going to go in there with a little bit of green later on. So I'm just going to go in now with a little bit of May green just at the very base on each petal. Just want to try to get this zoomed in properly for you guys so you can actually see it. So just going in just in the center there, just a tiny little bit, it's not much at all, and just sort of blending it out so it's, I don't want it like a line or anything like that. I just wanted to sort of just taper out, fade out if you want. So I'm going to go in now with a bit of coral, and I'm just going to add this to the outer sort of edges of the petals, and I'm going to stop before I get towards the center really. I'm kind of fading it out. I'm just tickling the paper here. I'm just layering down just a tiny little bit, and then we're going to start building up darker and darker colors as we go. And when we do that, we're going to start going in with lines rather than these little circular motions that I am doing at the moment. So we're just going to go in now with a bit of Pompeian red, and I'm going to start to do those lines that I talked about. So I'm starting sort of from the outer edge, and I'm working my way in, just adding a little bit of extra, just sort of on the line work there. I'm just sort of pulling it in and then letting it go. I'm not going super far in just yet. I just want to sort of darken it out and pull it in a little bit. So let's go in now with some burnt carmine, and again I'll be doing the lines going from the outer edges and all the way in. I'm going just a little bit darker here where there's any sort of overlaps, pulling them down. Sort of, you've got those little lines in the center there, so if you follow those are good ones to make a little bit darker because they look like they're intended to be sort of shady little lines. So I'm going to start darkening this up even more using the red violet. This is lovely, sort of dark, sort of red, and I like those sort of violety undertones to it, and it works out really well with these colors that I'm using here. If you're wondering if you've seen something similar to this before, yes you have. I did take inspiration from, I think it was one of the World's Wonder pictures that I did, and I did a lot of the flowers in these exact colors, and I kind of wanted to go back to that. So if you're wondering if you've seen me do this before, yes, you absolutely have. I'm just going to go in with a tiny little bit of the Naples yellow, just sort of where I have that green, and just sort of fade it out a little bit more into those sort of pink tones, and then I'm going to use that as my base for the center as well. So I'm going to go in now with a little bit of black and just start adding some more shadows, focusing on any overlaps here, and just sort of add a little bit. I'm kind of just working my way along the lines that Johanna has already put in, just adding in a tiny little bit and just darkening up these sort of little areas where you can see just sort of underneath the petals there. They need a little bit of darker areas too. So I'm just going to go back in now with the red violet, and I'm going to go over the top of some of those blacks and just sort of add in a little bit of extra colours here and there. So for the little two leaves here, I'm going to do a similar approach to that larger leaf that I did just over the top of this one. So just going in with my earth green yellowish as my base, and then building up colour as we go along. Now those little three tropical leaves that we got here, there's another three on the other tree. do exactly the same thing here and on that one as I'm going to do here, and just put again the shading on the opposite side to what I'm doing on this one. So I'm just going to cover the whole leaf in the earth green. I want these to slightly on the bluer side compared to those sort of yellowy greens that I've used for the other two big leaves here. So I just want them to be a little bit different. So I just want these little shapes that are in the leaves here to be my darker areas. I want the tip that's sort of up towards that sort of base, I call it the base of the leaf really, where I am right now. I want that to be the darker part, and then I'm going to fade it out and further away from that little point that I'm going. So I'm just going to bring in a little bit of the pine green. It also has a little bit more of a blue undertone to it. So that's a good one compared to a lot of the olive ones that I tend to use. So I'm just adding this, especially sort of to that sort of little corner up the top there, and fading my way out. So I'm just going to go in with another layer of the earth green, and then I'm going to come in afterwards over the top in the lighter areas with the earth green yellowish. Let's go in with some more shadows. I'm going to go with my dark indigo to start with, just sort of working along these sort of edges here, especially the ones that are sort of a little bit towards the castle, and then I'm sort of leaving it on the opposite side, so it kind of letting that sort of the light source that I'm imagining is coming from that castle sort of casting that shadow on there, so it looks like those little shapes are kind of ghost, I don't know, they go down a little bit. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Bear with me. So I'm just going to pop in now with a bit of black just to get those last shadows in, just making sure that my overlaps are shaded in and that I have a good contrast between my lights and my darks. So I'm just going to finish off these little shadows, and then I'm going to say stop for this session. I think we're going to definitely have to do this in at least 2 sittings, if not 3, hopefully not, but I hope you've enjoyed the little things that we got to do today. This is where we're at the moment. I'm loving this picture. It is super cute. So thank you all so much for watching or following along with me today. I wish you all a colourful day, and I will see you again next time.